Yeah, we're going to do next week.
Just eyes on me.
Dr. King became the predominant leader in the civil rights movement to end racial segregation and discrimination in America during the 1950s and 1960s, and was a leading spokesperson for nonviolent methods of achieving social change. His eloquence as a speaker and personal charisma, combined with a deeply rooted determination to establish equality among all races, despite personal risk, won him a worldwide following. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 and was selected by Time magazine as its Man of the Year. His success in galvanizing the drive for civil rights, however, made him the target of conservative segregationists who believed firmly in the superiority of the white race and feared social change. He was arrested over 20 times and his home was bombed. Ultimately, he was assassinated on April 4th, 1968, on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. Later on, our recessional hymn is Lift Every Voice and Sing, and it has some important context to it. This piece was written originally as a poem by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP leader, James Weldon Johnson, and then was set to music by his brother in 1899. The song quickly took off and became a rallying cry for Black communities in the South, or as one observer noted, a collective prayer. Within 20 years, the song was adopted by the NAACP as its official song. For generations to come, it would be known widely as the Black National Anthem, evoking the struggle and resilience of Black and African ancestors. If Dr. King were alive today, I have no doubt that he would be asking for bridges across divisions, healing and listening, repairing the polarization in our country, perseverance and resilience, compassionate leadership, and action against injustice. I have no doubt that he would be calling us all to rise unafraid, do it 1,000 times again, to rise up, in spite of the ache, to rise up.
progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I am for truth, no matter who tells it. I am for justice, no matter who it's for or against. Malcolm X. I believe that telling our stories, first to ourselves and then to one another in the world, is a revolutionary act. It is an act that can be met with hostility, exclusion, and violence. It can also lead to love, understanding, transcendence, and community. Jane Locke.
It is okay to know that we never need permission or an invitation to get involved, to stand up, or to work on creating positive change in our communities. We must allow ourselves to internalize our power and not ever allow others to tell us or make us feel like we don't belong or something isn't for us. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Throughout history, it has been the inaction of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voice of justice when it mattered most that has made it possible for evil to triumph. Haile Selassie.
Freedom and justice cannot be parceled out in pieces to suit political convenience. I don't believe you can stand for freedom for one group of people and deny it to others. Coretta Scott King. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your room agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Today I have the honor of introducing our 2019 MLK Chapel speaker. Demar F. Lewis IV is a PhD student in the Department of Sociology and African American Studies at Yale University. He was born in California, grew up in Colorado, and attended the Boys Division of Regis Jesuit High School in Denver. Demar received his BA in International Business from the University of St. Thomas and Masters of Public Policy from the University of Michigan. In his research, Demar is interested in thinking about how historical forms of violence, such as lynching in the United States, informs how we see things like fatal police encounters and deportation today. In his work, Demar maintains a commitment to justice and to equity both in policy and practice, and is dedicated to working alongside the communities he is serving. As a mentor and future professor, Demar is dedicated to teaching students to nurture a vision for who they are and the change they can make in the world. Demar also happens to be my fiance. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Demar Lewis.
Thank you, Mary, for your kind and I also wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude to the Rudolph S. Raisin Center for Global Justice, Mr. Hungerford, and to the administration of Westover School for allowing me to be part of your celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today. And likewise, if Dr. King were here today, he would encourage us to remember that we're currently standing on Indigenous land, which is an easy but often forgotten acknowledgement in a world that often forgets about all that was sacrificed in the process of establishing what now exists as the status quo. When I think about Dr. King, I think about a man who committed his entire being to the causes of global justice, poverty alleviation, and the eradication of systems and structures of oppression. Dr. King was intransigent in his pursuit to eradicate the world of social inequity and racial prejudice, and he embodied these values in his personal and professional activities. Although it's been over 50 years since the assassination of Dr. King in Memphis, Tennessee, the fervent commitment that Dr. King embodied for creating a world that recognized the dignity and inalienable human rights of all people, and in particular, Black people and those being oppressed, lives on today. For me personally, Martin Luther King Jr. is among a select group of people people that originally inspired me to carry on the work of justice and to commit my life to that. I know what you're thinking now. Martin Luther King inspired everyone to think about justice tomorrow. But what does justice mean? That's a good question. To me, justice is not just a noun or a verb. It is a way of being. Justice is not just a moral necessity, but it is the consequential way in which the world can and should exist. Achieving justice is not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that we can just do and then move on to something else. Justice requires perpetual action, reflection, and action. And, in that sense, it is demanding because it asks more of us than we often think we're capable of giving. But if one is to take Dr. King and his commitment to justice seriously, one must understand that to achieve justice will minimally require as much time and energy as were devoted to create the injustices one seeks to eliminate. When I was a child, I thought like a child, talked like a child, and reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. This verse from Corinthians is tattooed on my left arm and has inspired every step I've taken since first getting it in 2008 as a college freshman. However, my journey to becoming a man and to coming to learn about justice began when I was your age. I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and I attended, as Mary said, I attended Regis Jesuit High School, which is a traditionally all-boys Catholic school that, in 2003, became among the first schools in the country of its kind to operate an all-girls high school division. At Regis, our job was to excel inside and outside the classroom to achieve one goal: to be men and women for others. Whether we were on the court, doing community service, or learning about a topic in preparation for an exam or a business test, which I guess some of you all might do, our job was to take all that Regis gave us and to use the knowledge and resources to do good in the world. Back then, I bought into the mission and motto of Regis hard. What I didn't realize is that the rest of the world isn't like Regis. The rest of the world isn't like Westover. Crazy, right? Why then do these institutions indoctrinate us and help inspire us to believe things that otherwise don't exist in the world? I believe they do it for a simple reason. They want us to challenge ourselves to change the world. They want us to be leaders and to be the best in all of our endeavors, so it ensures that there are people who know that when they are in a position to do or say something, they will do or say something. They desire to help keep the spirit of justice alive in the way that Dr. King called upon us to emulate. And for me, my exposure to Regis Jesuit High School changed everything. It motivated me to join organizations like Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the New Leaders Council, and other organizations committed to the causes of justice in policy and practice. It motivated me to participate in programs like the Ronald E. McNair Scholars Program and the Institute for the Recruitment of Teachers through Andover University that are committed to training researchers, teachers, and leaders to pursue graduate or advanced doctoral studies who have an interest in justice-oriented issues, or who are members of groups that have been traditionally excluded from education or different occupations based on their race, gender, religion, or socioeconomic status. My exposure to Regis Jesuit High School and the liberatory theology of justice inspired me to work across the private and public sectors so I can understand how they currently work and how they might need to work to achieve the realization of justice. A commitment to justice and to Mary's incredible editorial skills were instrumental in enabling me to pursue a master's in public policy at the University of Michigan, and now to pursue a PhD in sociology and African American studies at Yale. I would have never known to look for an intellectual space like African American studies had it not been for my mentors who also have dedicated their lives to justice. Beyond the realm of sociology, African American studies has allowed me a safe space to think about and be inspired by other social justice warriors, such as Ida B. Wells, Angela Davis, Paul E. Murray, Leon Higginbotham, W.B. Du Bois, Barbara Christian, and Kimberly Crenshaw, to name a few. But I don't just spend all my time reading these people. I also spend a significant amount of time taking the energy they provide me to pursue tackling the challenges that are most important to me. I'd like to think that the work that I do is fundamentally concerned with justice, both access to the requisite resources needed to achieve justice, as well as being attuned to the mechanisms or social realities that prevent us from living in a just society. Here, I will say that the specific issues I'm interested in don't come from things that I read in a book, but from things I've experienced in my own life. Let's take a quick voluntary poll. How many of you in this audience know someone that's been incarcerated? Thank you for sharing. Now, how many of you know someone that has been killed by a police officer, has experienced police brutality, or other unjust treatment from police officers? Again, thank you for sharing. I have experienced both of these things too. I've had family members who were incarcerated throughout my childhood, which made it so I didn't get to see them or my relatives for extended periods of time. My neighbor was also somebody who frequently was sent to juvenile detention for having behavioral issues, when he was simply a foster child living in a middle and upper middle class neighborhood away from his family. In 2014, my cousin Joseph Ma was murdered by a police officer in Fresno, California for making a U-turn. And the day that I found out I was accepted to Yale, my friend's brother Chad Roberson died after being shot by an Amtrak officer weeks before. Grounded in these life experiences, I'm concerned with studying what factors determine how long people are detained for in prisons and jails prior to being sentenced. I'm also interested in exploring where fatal police citizen encounters are happening, and to see if there's connections between where phenomena like lynching have happened and where we see people being murdered by police officers. Here, I'd be remiss if I didn't turn my remarks back to Dr. King. It may not surprise anyone in this room to hear that one of Dr. King's principal messages was that of empathy. Empathy, he believed, would allow people to see past their individual prejudices and biases, to acknowledge the human condition of others, and the necessity to eradicate the forces of evil that perpetuate oppression and injustice in the world. Empathy, for me, is a tactic of Dr. King's that I try to emulate in my life and in my work. My commitment to empathy motivates me to try to search beyond my own interests and experiences to understand how the plight and conditions of others are connected to my own life. For instance, I have many friends and colleagues that are undocumented immigrants whose families have experienced or are experiencing the threat of imminent deportation. Thus, when I see people in Washington and across the country talking about building a wall, it's not an abstract concept. It's a moral imperative that's in need of justice. Likewise, inequities faced by the LGBTQ+ community are also ones of deep concern to me, because I have countless friends and family members who navigate life being told that they don't have a right to be in society, or recently, in the military. Some of you may be members of one or more of these communities. Do not feel compelled to identify yourselves now if you don't want to. I mention these as examples where I have been challenged to be empathetic, because that is what justice requires for me to support the people around me. Empathy, like justice, is a persistent journey that requires action, reflection, action, and, most important, listening to those who you are trying to empathize with, so you can live your life in a way which does not invalidate their personhood and allows them to live their best, most productive, and happy lives. That is what justice requires. And that, to me, is what Dr. King's calling to empathy is all about. Before I close, I wanted to leave you with a few words of inspiration. Take them in and allow them to manifest in your life as you go about your endeavors as students and rising adults. Justice is a perpetual process that is necessary to eradicate inequities in the world. It's a process, it's not a destination. So stick with the process. As a perpetual process, those called to serve justice must be willing to embrace the virtues of action, reflection, action, and empathy. Again, it's a process. The world we live in now needs intransigent justice and social justice warriors. It needs students from Westover to be leading the charge through the 21st and the 22nd century. This is the struggle and the opportunity that we need must each grapple with in our own way. How am I going to serve the cause of justice? What am I willing to invest in that cause to make the things that I care about come to life or to protect them? To Dr. King and to all the social justice warriors that made the work you did possible, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to keep your spirit alive, to have the opportunity to care for an important legacy. Thank you for giving us the strength, the courage, and resilience to rise up. Thank you.
Our last hymn is a great hymn. It's a hymn that has its challenges and its rewards, and I think probably the people up here know it better than the folks in the back of the room. So I'm going to ask if you can sing all the way